Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly fishing video. This week I'm going to do an out of the tube review of the Hanak Superb RS 393. It's a 9'3" rod for a 3 weight. So without further ado, let's get into it. In the introduction I said out the tube. It's actually been out the tube. I've managed to get a couple of days fishing with this rod in already this season. Now I'd just like to say before we get into the meat of it, this is not my rod. Hanak has kindly lent me the rod for the season to review it, and what I'm going to deliver today is just my first impressions of the rod. So it's not mine. I will be handing it back to Franta at the Grayling Festival in December, but I'm hoping to use it all season, and come December I'll be able to give you a much more comprehensive review of the rod. Now in the meantime, as I say, I've had it out for a couple of days on the River Avon, and I'm happy to just tell you what my initial thoughts are. So the origins of the rod is obviously they've come from the Hanak XP, and it's been designed in conjunction with Lubos Rosa. He's one of the most famous competitive anglers on the circuit. He's recently written this book about fly fishing the world, it's called, and it concentrates on his career through winning multiple European and World Championships, and it's a great read, so definitely worth a look at if you're interested. So between Hanak and Lubos, they've come up with this rod. I'm a huge fan of the Hanak nymphing rods, but the rod I'm looking at here is a purpose-built dry fly rod. So what's different about this rod? It's a 4-piece, ultralight, slim, very fine, and at the same time high performance rod. The model I have here then has been specifically designed for dry fly fishing. They have a uniform length of 9'3" or 282 centimeters if you're in Europe. These rods then use a hexagon graphene material and extra light and super quality components. They've reduced the weight by up to 30% to 30 grams. Well, most modern rods nowadays are so light that we really are talking about marginal gains, and I suppose if you're fishing at the highest level in a competitive environment, that little bit of weight difference may make a big difference to you. But for your average angler, I'm not so sure it would make that much of a difference, 30 grams. Perhaps if you're an older gentleman and you're only able to cast so many times in the day, this may be a consideration, but I still see myself as not that old, and I'm able to cast a rod quite comfortably all day. Now the Hanak rods I own, I've always been very impressed by the way they've been finished, and this is no exception. So it has an inserted solid wood reel seat and like a cage around that for the reel to sit on. It's an up-locking reel seat mechanism, and it has a AAA rated cork handle, which looking at this is as good as any cork I've ever come across. As always, certainly with the SP range, it's got the wooden finish leading on to a blank, which is a gold olive in colour. Now for my money, and it doesn't really matter so much to me nowadays, but in my days of competing I would have much preferred the blank to have been a matte finish, and the reason for that is when you're in shallow clear water you don't want any flash off of the rod. It does considerably weaken the blank though, finishing it that way, and I suspect that they've used this gloss finish for strength. But I'm sure you'd have to ask Franta and Lubos for that, the reason behind that. It has a keeper ring for flies, which I like to see on rods. I know there was a trend in the last few years to do away with these, but I really like a keeper ring. It's got some lovely detailing on the rod. It's got like a silver band with a red insert. It looks really sweet. To be perfectly honest, I would expect nothing less from a high-end rod like this, and this is in the higher end of fishing rods that you'll buy. On the second section of the rod then, you'll notice these special anti-tangle stripping guides. Now it's slightly bent forward, and the idea is that stops the thin leaders tangling around your guide, but it didn't stop it happening to me. I still managed to tangle that up. It's probably more to do with my bad casting than it is to do with the design of the rod. As I move down then, what we have here is a flexible titanium single leg guides, and they feature all the way up the remainder of the rod. So That's the second piece, and you all know what the remaining pieces look like. So what is the price? Well, I honestly can't tell you. The UK distributor for Hanak rods is a company called Unique Flies, and they're yet to advertise this rod on their website. I haven't found out what it is in euros, but I dare say it'll be around the €500 mark. Well, that's my initial impressions of the rod. Now, the blurb from the catalogue and the websites that you see, obviously they're trying to sell a product. I've got no interest in selling rods or any other products, but what I want to do is give you an honest opinion of this rod. Now, initially I found the action very, very soft, and I suppose the idea behind that is competition anglers are looking to target much smaller fish, and the softer the action, the more likely you are to retain the fish once you've hooked it. It took me a little while to get used to casting with the rod because it does bend right through the whole profile right to the handle. I only target small fish myself. I'm into fishing for wild trout and grayling mostly. It suited my needs quite well, capturing small fish. It's been very good. It's a great piece of kit. It's lovely and light. If you just want to wander the riverbanks all day with a dry fly rod, I could think of worse things to carry than this. Well, that's my initial impressions of the rod. I've really enjoyed using it for the 2 outings that I've had, and when I've finished with it over the season, I'll give a much more comprehensive review and give you the prices for the UK, the European and the American markets. And then it's really up to you, you know. I think fishing rods is a very personal item, more so than any other item of tackle. You know, it's a feel and a confidence thing with a fishing rod. You learn how it reacts when you've caught a fish. You learn the timing for casting, and it can be a real challenge to get to grips with a brand new rod. Now, when I picked this up, I did struggle initially because of the soft action. I'm used to much faster action rods, and this is quite a soft action rod, so you need to be wary of that. But listen guys, as ever, with any of the kit I show you, the choice is yours. I hope you've enjoyed this little insight and you're looking forward to the full review. In the meantime, why not check out this video? I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.